What do you think about this hearing? Now, I know you want to focus on the leaks, and that's what President Trump tweeted yesterday, but your thoughts overall on this whole...
I do think Sally Yates comported herself well, and the fact that she's the new heroine of the left, no surprise. She's the first person on the left under the age of 70 who has something to say, and she did a great job of doing it. But it still is amazing to me that when people like Sally Yates or James Clapper go, when they get to a tough question, it's like, I'm sorry, that's classified, can't talk about that. Well, when are we going to hear it? I mean, they say they're going to go into closed hearings. Good. Do it soon. Because I still think that there are some unanswered questions that need to be raised.
Yeah, she kept going back to what Jim Comey said, oh, well, you know, Jim Comey answered that same question this way, so I'm going to go with him. And then what Clapper said, she said, you know, I'm going to say exactly what he said. She was very guarded, for sure. Yeah. And there were a lot of questions where she just said, oh, no, I know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you.
Governor, what are the questions that you want to hear answered on this front?
I want her or somebody to tell someone in authority who has the power to create an indictment who leaked that information. I want to know, was there intentional unmasking and intentional surveillance of an American citizen, which is a direct violation of constitutional rights.
Those leak investigations rarely go anywhere. I mean, can you name any cases where you actually find out the leaker and something happens?
Maybe not, but the unmasking is a real issue. I mean,
it is, and the Wall Street Journal wrote an editorial about this saying, let them be clear about what we found out yesterday, and it was paltry little, but we found out that Sally Yates and James Clapper both viewed unmasked information on political opponents. They said that they viewed it. Now, they said that they did not leak it to the press, but when she was asked, and James Clapper, they admitted that while in office, they personally viewed classified reports about Mr. Trump, his officials, or members of Congress who had been unmasked.
Yeah.
Both admitted that they shared that information with others in the government, though they did deny leaking it to the press.
But there needs to be an information chain. Who knew that? When you have information that sensitive, everybody has to sign a paper saying, I've looked at it, I've viewed it. So there should be a record of how many eyeballs ever looked at that information. So it ought to be a limited universe. To act like we have no idea. What, did you leave it on your desk and say, wink, wink? By the way, there's something on my desk. If you happen to look at it and it just happened to get to the Washington Post, I can honestly testify before Congress, I never leaked it. That's worrisome.
To your point, the only crime that we know about with any of this is the fact that Michael Flynn's name was leaked in violation of the law when he was unmasked by the Obama administration. And we've yet to get to the bottom of that, directly to what you said.
Yes.
And they also wouldn't admit how many other people they unmasked and how many other people they surveilled, by the way. I mean, that question came up a number of times. For example, Senator Lindsey Graham said, were you surveilling any other candidates either side of the aisle? And he said, well, there might be more, but definitely one, you know, but there might be more. I mean, he didn't want to admit it, obviously, but he was cornered. I mean, it was obvious that they did a lot of unmasking and surveilling.
So we basically didn't get anywhere yesterday. There were a lot of no answers, and we got
a lot of no answers.
A star is born. Sally Yates had a good day. Yeah. But other than that, as far as substantively knowing more today than we knew yesterday about who knew what when they knew it, the old classic question during the Watergate hearings, no, we really don't know a whole lot more. And that, to me, is troubling. I think the bigger picture, and I hope people don't lose sight of this, we are a country that is unique in that we protect our citizens against their own government. When the government can act against its citizens for political purposes, we are no longer the government that we were created to be. And above everything else, above any conversation somebody may have had with Russians, that ought to scare the holy daylights out of every American.
Amen.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And at the end of the day, with all the discussion about Michael Flynn, Trump still fired him.
Yeah,
period.
right.
Well, that's
despite any evidence that he was indeed compromised by that discussion that he had with the Russian ambassador, he still got fired.
He got fired.
You know, he got counseled by President Obama about you shouldn't hire him. You know what? He made his own decision. He ultimately
he saw he made a mistake and he corrected it.
That's right.